I'd like to welcome all of you to the Temple of the Living God. Welcome you folks on social media. We're so glad you're here with us. But I invite you to come down and see us in person if you live in the area. We're Carol and the Goodfellows, and we are going to do a song for you today that needs no introduction.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, and the world must come together as one. There are people dying, and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We are all a part of God's great big family, and the truth, you know, love is all we need.
We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. Yeah. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. Yeah.
Send them your heart, and they'll know that someone cares, and their lives will be stronger and free, as God has shown us by turning stones to bread. So we all must lend a helping hand.
We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. When you're down and out and there seems no hope at all, if you just believe, there's no way we can fall. Let's just realize
that a change can only come when we stand together as one.
Yeah, we are the world, we are the children. Sing it, Richard.
We are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving.
There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. Yeah, yeah.
It's
True, we make a better day, just you and me.
Yeah.
It's true, we make a better day, just you and
me.
You're beautiful.
Thank you.
And I would like to welcome all of the men and women and people around the country who are choosing to be with us today to experience our program and our wonderful guest, Reverend Kathy Engelhardt. I met Reverend Kathy many years ago somewhere around 15 years ago or 500 years ago. I'm not sure which is first, but it's a long time. And when we met, we quote, fell in love. Now, nothing romantic, but something really very beautiful as a friendship and a kind of spiritual connection that has deepened across the years. She is the pastor of Garden Park Unity in Cincinnati, Ohio, a beautiful, beautiful church in the hilly region of the city. And if ever you're in Cincinnati for any reason, please go to visit them at their lovely, lovely church in the hills of that city. It's famous, of course, as many of you know or may have lived there, for its hills. Really quite a beautiful part of America. Kathy is a beautiful woman, but she's also an inspired woman in the way she lives her life. And she has a very active ministry, and even during the pandemic time has been active and has been doing some wonderful things. She's a lady that's had many wonderful life experiences, and I hope during her talk this morning she'll share some of the more colorful ones. And with that, I'll say enough. Welcome to you, Reverend Kathy, and of course, once again, your husband, Michael. I would like to read today, before you begin, an affirmation. And if you would, close your eyes for just a moment or two. I come now into this moment, releasing myself from my desire to change or make a difference as a person, or changing some place or thing, and recognize that God is in control of my life, and I yield to that power in my life. I can choose the light and hopefulness for my well-being and awakening to help me become the best man, the best woman that I can be. I now have come to know that the highest good for me is also available for every other man, every other woman, every other being. And it shows up often in our lives as love, a frequency fostering light, health, and well-being. It also sees all things as good, all in divine perfection. You and I can find that place within ourselves, and it is so. We welcome you, Reverend Kathy, this morning, and we, in this moment, allow space before you do your fabulous presentation from our wonderful musicians. Thank you, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
You start.
You've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, don't mess with Mr. In Between. You got to spread joy up to the maximum and bring gloom down to the minimum. Have faith, a pandemonium is liable to walk upon the scene. To illustrate my last remarks, Jordan and the whale, Noah and the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark?
What did they do? Tell me now.
They said, man, you better accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. Latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. Yeah.
What did they do?
Just when everything looked so dark.
It was looking bad. Tell me.
Man, they said you better accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. Like John to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. Oh yeah. Don't mess with Mr. In Between.
Don't mess with him now.
Don't mess with Mr. In Between.
All right.
Wow. Wow. Mind if I take this with me? Thank you. I'll never tell. People wonder why I smile so much. Good morning. If that is not a New Thought song, and I listen to that and I wonder, why aren't we packed to the gills? It's because we're the best known little secret. Now, I'm going to just encourage you that you spread the word and invite somebody here next week. And go to your YouTube channel and share it. Because that's how you get our message out, is by sharing social media. Why are we so afraid? We'll share a recipe on Facebook, but do we share the message from this Sunday's service? So I'm just encouraging you to, step up a little bit and get the word out, because people need to hear this message. Absolutely. Do you agree with this statement that the foundation of our teachings is from the upper room? Does that make sense? Hey, you know what I mean? From the upper room, the upper level of consciousness. That is the foundation of New Thought teachings. That is what the temple and your classes that you take is all about. Out of Revelations it says, "Behold, I make all things new." Now, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Who does not have a heavy heart about that today, right? But as truth students, and I say truth with a capital T, as truth students, as we are continuing to learn. As we so-called teach, we get to learn. But as truth students, all of us, we know that truth with a capital T exists beyond this event that we are witnessing right now. So I would like to ask you just to take a moment of silence. But before you do, I want to share with you something positive that came across on Michael's phone today. And it said that there were a number of Russian soldiers that were captured by Ukraine, and many of them were 19 years old, ill-equipped, untrained, and through the Ukraine, though the Ukraine commander allowed those 19-year-olds to call home and let their parents know that they were okay. Yeah. Yes. And Michael shared with me, he said, that's civility in the face of hostility. So there is hope. So let's just take a moment of silence to hold them in our hearts right now. As I say, and if you know this prayer, for protection for all involved, that the light of God surrounds them, the love of God enfolds them, the power of God protects them, and the presence of God watches over them. Wherever they are, God is, and all is well. Amen. Yes, thank you. So I chose today's title to be MYOB. And when I say that, the first thing that comes to your mind is what? Mind your own business, right? Well, I was very blessed to attend an Anton conference last, I want to say it was September, out at, it was actually held at Unity Village, but Anton stands for Affiliated New Thought Network. It takes in all New Thought churches. So not just, it would take the Temple, it would take Center for Spiritual Living, Unity. It doesn't matter. If you are an independent, standalone church, but you are teaching New Thought principles, you can be a member of this organization. Well, one of the keynote speakers there was a man named Dr. Reverend Charles Geddes. He is the founder of Bridges, and I want to make sure I say this correctly, Bridges Spiritual Center in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, if anybody has heard of that. Yes, he is in his 80s, and he's the founder of that community, served there for many, many years, and in his 80s, just a year or so ago, decided to develop a nonprofit organization called MYOB, Mind Your Own Becoming. Mind Your Own Becoming. So I want to see if we can put that first slide up there. And there are 5 key principles to this organization called Mind Your Own Becoming. And I want you to just, here's their tagline. It says they are devoted to addressing key issues of our time to create healing dialogue together, enriching our lives mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And Reverend Charles Geddes has now moved to Clancy, Montana to be amongst the mountains. And he is still operating this nonprofit from afar. And if you can check it out on Google it afterwards, MYOB, and it will show up. So 5 key principles. So I'm going to break that down for you today. So the first principle says, free others to be where they are, not where we want them to be. Come on, get real. Come on. How many people do you and I want to drag here? Right? Because they're just not getting it, right? So we say. But what are we doing when we do that? We're being no different than anybody else out there trying to control people. You know, the next slide says, can you see it there where it says, I'm not, and then I may go back. Stay in your car, in your lane, on your road, in your world. Stay in your own lane. Don't be minding other people's spiritual business. Stay in your car, in your lane, on your road, in your world. Can we go backwards to that slide of the MYOB, please? I just want to tell you that I am very big on, absolutely, if you want to get your cell phones out and enlarge it and take some pictures of the slides that you're going to see here today, because these are thoughts that I feel are very worth remembering. And many times I will use these slides as a recommendation to then take that picture you took of a slide and share it on your Facebook page. Intrigue your friends, you know? So this stay in your own lane, which is principle number 1, basically, and how many times have you found yourself, if not speaking it, you're thinking it and wanting to control the way other people are living their life? The song was so perfect of the negative people in your life, in your neighborhood, in your mobile home park, the negative people, and you just want to go and just drag them and say, there's a different way to live your life. if you could just read this book, right? If you could just raise your thinking, raise your consciousness. No, stop. Mind your own becoming, right? I love it. Listen to this. In freeing others, when I can let them be on their way, I'm freeing myself. I can step out of codependent relationships that block my spiritual growth. Think about relationships that you've had, or maybe you're currently still having and having a hard time letting them go, right? Realizing that those relationships are blocking your spiritual growth. So who's getting robbed by that? You know, there's a Buddhism quote that says, no one outside ourselves can rule us inwardly. When we know this, we become free. I'm going to repeat that. No one outside of ourselves can rule us inwardly. We know, when we know this, we become free. Share a quick story about my husband, Michael. He drives a lot on the interstate, and he often is sharing with me over the last 2 years especially. He said, people are just driving more and more aggressively. Have you noticed that here in Florida? It's definitely in Ohio. Angry drivers, impatience, and he's like, people are zipping in and out on the interstate, just cutting you off. He says it's just terrible. Well, he's developed a saying, and we have taken this on now in our church, and I encourage you. Now when somebody comes in front of him and cuts him off, he goes, namaste, welcome to my lane. Instead of doing what we know you all want to do, he says, namaste, welcome to my lane. And what does that do to him internally? It shifts. It shifts. And that's where and how we start to change our planet is by changing ourselves inwardly. Principle 2 of Mind Your Own Becoming is be aware of what is yours to carry and what is yours to set free. Be aware of what is yours to carry and what is yours to set free. I want to share with you a little story about 2 monks. One was older, one was younger, and they were walking along this muddy creek bed, and they were on a journey, and they noticed this fairly wealthy woman being carried by her 2 attendants with all of her precious belongings and luggage. And she's like, the attendants were like, how are we going to get her across? We're going to have to carry her belongings first. And so as they go to carry her belongings, the woman is yelling at the attendants the whole time. She's very arrogant and saying, how am I going to get across this muddy creek without getting my clothes and my shoes muddy? I cannot cross this. What am I to do? And the monks were watching this, and the young monk was just watching from a distance, very quiet. And the older monk crosses the muddy creek. He picks the woman up on his back, and he carries her across the mud. The whole time she's griping. We shouldn't have gone this way. She's just griping. The older monk sets her down, and she goes without thanking anybody, crabbing the whole time, getting with her attendants, and the old monk joins the young monk back on the trail, and they continue on their journey. Finally, about an hour into the journey, the young monk can't stand it any longer. He's like bottling this up, and he says, oh, wise master, he said, I need to tell you, I cannot hold this in any longer. It is against our tradition to touch any woman. And you went and carried this woman across this muddy bed of water, and she was crabbing the whole time, and you let her down. She didn't even thank you. He said, I don't understand this. And the old monk looked at the young monk and said, oh, I see. You're still carrying that woman. I left her an hour ago. How many things are you still carrying? Maybe you're still carrying something from this morning, yesterday. Maybe you're carrying something from childhood. When do you let it go? Be aware of what is yours to carry and what is yours to set free. Consider deeply the stories that we carry forward about ourselves and about our past. And about our past. Be open to singing a new song. I love that. Be open to singing a new song. Principle 3 is remember that forgiveness. Oh, I didn't even call for that picture. Did we have a picture of the older monks carrying that woman? I'm so sorry, Steve. I didn't even say that. We had brought a picture there. I don't know if you can make it out. It was a little blurry when I sent it through. So principle 3 is remember that forgiveness is an ongoing journey for who? For who? It's important that you know that. Because what is it? Who does it free when you do forgiveness? Me. Me, absolutely. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. All right? Anybody ever heard of Ho'oponopono? Yes, yes. That is a Hawaiian term, and it's about forgiveness. And Ho'oponopono is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Now, this is not just for somebody else in your life. Can you do that for yourself? I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. It works for others, and it works to forgive yourself. There's freedom when I remember no person, no event, no place, no thing can block the light that I am. Do you want me to say that again? No person, no thing, no event, no place can block the light that I am. There's freedom in that, big freedom. Sometimes you have to take, Yeah, I think I'm going to save that for a minute. I'm going to save that. Principle 4. Principle 4 is never give up, but be willing to take a step back to align to your true passion. Never give up, but be willing to step back and align to your true passion. Sometimes you have to take one step forward in order to move, or one step back in order to what? To move 2 or 3 steps forward, right? But you're still going forward. Never give up, but be willing to step back and align to your true passion. I want to tell you a story about what I call the rummage sale wedding. Yes, our church was very famous in Cincinnati for having the area's largest rummage sale. We sit on 5 acres of ground. The rummage sale covered all 5 acres. It was a huge fundraiser. It netted $9,000 to $11,000 every year that we had this rummage sale. Now, you can imagine that took a lot of work. Okay, so we are having a rummage sale event, and it is a big, big deal. So I'm in jeans and a T-shirt, and I wore my oldest pair of gym shoes, and of course, I'm out there working all day, just like all the other volunteers. And I decided I've got to go into the church and use the restroom. So on the way through the bookstore, which you have to go through to get to the restroom, the church phone rings. And I'm telling you, now it's on a Saturday, I never answer the phone on Saturday. I let it go to voicemail, and then I check it later. Okay, so the phone is ringing, and I'm going through, and I'm like, no. Unity of Garden Park, this is Reverend Kathy. Can I help you? On the other end of the phone, there is screaming in the background. Not just one voice, multiple voices screaming in the background. And they're like, oh, my God, somebody answered the phone. And I'm like, what can I do for you? She goes, my mother is getting married, and we are at the church, and she was supposed to get married a half an hour ago. The minister hasn't shown up. And we have been calling in the directory, the phone book, and you're the first one to answer the phone. Now, at that time, we began with a G. So imagine how many churches she's called on a Saturday, and you're the first one to answer the phone. Is there any way that you could come and do the wedding for my mother? Everybody's distraught. All the guests are here. The organist had a key to the church, but she didn't have a key to the air conditioning unit. And we don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, where's the church? Okay, I can be there in 15 minutes. Thank you. We get the address. I hang up, and I look down, and I'm like, oh, no. Okay, so in my closet, I always have a minister's robe. And so I I just grabbed the minister's robe. Then I looked down, and I'm like, oh, you're going to see my gym shoes. So I go out to the rummage sale, and I go to the shoe section. Now, it's 3 o'clock. We're at the end of the rummage sale. I wear a size 8. Women, you know that's the most popular size, 7.5, 8, right? There is only one pair of black shoes left. I said, I got to grab them. Here's $1. And I go back, and I put the black shoes on. Now I've got jeans. I got a T-shirt. My hair's a mess, but I got a minister's robe, and off I go. I pull up. Now, I don't know where this church is, but I can tell you I knew where it was because there was 50 people out on the road waving me in like this. So I turn in, and everybody's following me. Yay, right? And so now, where's the vestibule? Okay, and then I go to the vestibule, and I was like, where's the bride? So I go in to see the bride to let her know, I'm here, it's okay. I said, I'm so sorry for the way I look, but it was our church's annual rummage sale. And the bride goes, rummage sale? I love rummage sales. I got my wedding dress at a rummage sale. Oh, good. Okay. So now I put my robe on, right? Zip it up, and I look down, and my jeans are showing. I'm like, oh, that's not going to work. So I unzip, take my jeans off. I look in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, no, my robe is see-through. I put my jeans back on, and I roll my pants legs up with these funky black shoes that I've got on. My hair is a mess, but you can't see my T-shirt. And I'm like, I go, like I'm trying to see the layout of the church. I've never seen the church. So I go through this door, and I just peek my head through so I can see where like the bride and groom are supposed to walk through. And I'm like, I just get my head out the door. The whole church stands up and applauds. I sneak my head back in. I'm like, oh, there's more to this story. I'm telling you, it taught me so much. And it's been 10 years, and every year on the anniversary of this bride and groom, they send me a message, and they've titled it, Happy Anniversary to Us, Reverend Kathy, the Rummage Sale Wedding. Now, just in case you're wondering, where was the minister? He had a flat tire and was pulled off to the side of the road, did not have, apparently, either a cell phone or anybody's phone number. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's not important, but he never showed up. So it was divine providence to take a step back, answer the phone, and then look what happens. How many times have you done that in your own life, right? Where the unexpected happens and it ends up following your true passion. When you thought you were going to go this way, but Spirit says, oh no, you're going to go this way today, right? And doesn't matter what you look like. Just show up the light that you are. Oh boy, I could go on and on with this one. I really could. So I'm going to get to principle 5. Principle 5 is there are 2 choices, bitter or better. Bitter or better. Better shines through gratitude. Bitter shows through ongoing complaining. Ask yourself again, what stories am I carrying forward to world healing? Am I being bitter? Am I holding resentment? Oh, think about this at a global level. Think about this in your own life. But truly, think about it at a global level as well. Are you holding on to bitterness and resentment? I think that's part of our global problem. Bitterness is how we punish ourselves for other people's errors. Our ancestors are calling all of us to MYOB. I believe our ancestors are calling us to mind our own becoming. You know, I want to ask you, what if you are the Messiah the world has been waiting for? What if we are the Messiahs that the world has been waiting for? I have a feeling you'd live your life more MYOB. I want to close with a story about 3 laughing monks. If we got that picture there. 3 laughing monks. The story goes that once upon a time, there lived 3 unnamed monks in an ancient China, and they were given the name, the 3 laughing monks, because when asked their names, all they did was laugh. They would never answer, they would just laugh. They'd enter a village, stand in the center of the square, and they would just start laughing. People working and living around the square, all of a sudden, they would start laughing for no reason at all because these monks kept laughing. And you know how infectious laughter is, right? So they would go from village to village doing this. Then they'd move on to the next village. After everybody started laughing, then they were satisfied, and they move on to the next village, do the same thing. Next village, do the same thing. The old monks believed that laughter was their only prayer all over China, and they were loved and respected by many, many, many. They traveled and laughed for many years until one of them died. The entire village where they were at that moment ran to the other 2 monks to console them in their grief and their sorrow. But what did they find? They found the 2 monks laughing even harder than ever before. And they're like, the crowd asked the 2 monks, why aren't you mourning your loss of your fellow compadre here, your friend's passing? For the first time ever, the 2 monks spoke. The one monk said, on our way to the village, the 3rd monk proposed a bet of which one of us are going to die first. Now that he won, the will that he prepared by him was as follows. Our tradition requires to wash the dead and change his clothes before putting him on the funeral pyre. He felt that he had never been filthy a day in his life and that the dirt of this world had never touched the feet of his sandals. So therefore, he wanted to be buried in his clothing. So the monks did that, and they kept his clothes, his original clothes on him. They did not wash the body, and the 2 monks followed his wishes. They placed the body onto the funeral pyre, and once the fire started to touch his clothes, there was an explosion in all directions. The 2 monks joyously started laughing, and soon the whole village was in laughter. He had put fireworks under his clothing, and it got everybody laughing again. And I'm not sure where Carol is, but that's okay. We're going to keep going here. Oh, she does have it. Here you know this part. Boom, 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 right? Moon, moon, moon. We could keep on going. So, what's the moral of the story? Yes, keep laughing. Quit taking life so seriously. You're going to love this real quick. Diddy, why are these three monks up here? Because I'm shopping at Bell's Outlet. Not for 3 monks. I'm shopping, of course, to get something new. And sure enough, now I knew I was going to bring this story to you. I didn't know anything else yet, but I knew I was going to bring the three monks story. I turn around, and there is only one, 3 monks. And I'm like, oh my God, is that synchronicity? So with that, we got to keep laughing, right? All right, you senior citizens, maybe you can relate to this. Senior citizen, gentleman, bought a new Corvette. Matter of fact, he bought a convertible Corvette. So he's taking off down the road out of the dealership. He's going 80 miles an hour, wind blowing through what hair he's got left. He says, this is amazing. He's flying down I-75, looking in his rearview mirror. He sees a state trooper, woo, 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 right? And he's like, oh, he pushes the pedal. He's now going 100, 105, 110, 120. He looks in the rearview mirror and says, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I'm too old for this. He pulls off to the side of the road. The state trooper walks up to the window. He says, sir, my shift ends in 30 minutes. He said, today is Friday. If you can give me just one reason for speeding that I've never heard before, I'm going to let you go. Well, the old man paused for a minute, and he said, years ago, my wife ran off with a state trooper, and I was afraid you were bringing her back. That's it, too. Life is too short. And I always love to end my talks with namaste. Because to me, namaste is saying that the Christ presence in me truly sees the joyous Christ presence in each and every one of you. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Kathy. I'm going to remember that story, that last one. I will find another place to use it. But oh my goodness, thank you, thank you. You see why we invite her back? Yes, she's invited us to keep laughing and to keep focusing on the positive in our lives, as we all must, as we all will. We now have come to the blessing of our tithes and our offerings. And for those of you that are at a distance, we invite you also to make an offering to the church. You may push the donate button on your social media page and send that to the temple. And now, let us infinite and radiant source of all life, we ask your blessing to go forward in every area of our life, in all things. May the healing grace of abundance honor each and every man, every woman, every child, and may it flow in and through and as this ministry and all other ministries serving this truth. Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.
Here we go. Love is my decision. to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Yes, love is my decision right here and now. Everybody stand up. Why not? All the cool kids are doing it. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my life, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Oh, yes. My decision right here and